Hello and welcome to Wargame European Escalation. I'm Hob Gadling and today I'll be showing the multiplayer aspects of the game to you. The game will be played between me and dear Princess Celestia, and the multiplayer games always start with a deployment. I'm gonna speed it up so it will be a little faster to get over. We both have two deployment zones. I'll be playing as the Warsaw Pact and deploying a bit of tanks, T-62s, a bit of ZSUs, some scouts and BTRs to both starting zones. I'm hoping to catch my opponent off guard with this move, since I'll only be placing one CV to Charlie. That way it looks like I have nothing at alpha at the beginning of the game. Of course, at this stage I don't know my opponent is deploying his units at golf. Dear Princess Celestia chose to deploy mostly Sheridan tanks, some mortars, a recon helicopter and two CVs. The CVs in multiplayer are used just the same as in single player to capture and hold zones of control. The zones, as you know, give more reinforcement points and allow you to gather larger armies than your enemy. The game will continue until either one side loses all his CVs or we hit a pre-agreed point limit, which in this case is 1,500 points. My opponent also picked quite a lot of M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles and Rangers to go with those. The Bradley is a infantry fighting vehicle armed with 25mm cannon, anti-tank guided missiles and machine gun. It's mostly familiar to people from Gulf Wars and the excellent movie Pentagon Wars, which I heartily recommend to people who are interested in comedies. My plan for the upcoming fight is to send out two forces. The first one was supposed to be a flanking force, but it hits the enemy immediately. Instead of waiting around, I'm going to charge straight away at the enemy position. This will cause some casualties for me, but there's nothing I can do about it. I'll just have to take them and hope I can overwhelm the technologically superior US forces. My Hind helicopter gunships are waiting at India. My plan is to look for an opening and try to disrupt the enemy's plans. I don't want to give dear Princess Celestia any time to deploy his units, because I have no artillery and I have no good ways of digging him out if he decides to hold Foxtrot with everything he's got. Rather, I'll charge in with the helicopters and hope I can cause some damage now, while my other force is still moving in. The Rangers and Bradleys I'm approaching are now down, but they took out a good chunk of my forces there. Still, I now have the enemy forces in Foxtrot cushion between my helicopter gunships and tanks. Unfortunately, the 25mm cannon in Bradleys works well against the helicopters. After losing half of my hinds, I have to pull back a bit and try to hold the enemy off as it is. My tanks are still on the way. I'm sending a small wheeled detachment off to Golf. I'm going to try and find enemy units that are undefended. Fortunately, my opponent has left his command without any support, so with any luck I'll find it and be able to take it out. My casualties at Foxtrot are extremely heavy. I've already lost over half the units I initially sent to the fight. Most of my gunships are gone, and I only have a third of my tanks left anymore. Also, all the APCs and other units are now dead. The diversion has held anyway. I find the enemy command vehicle and send my BTRs to shoot it to pieces. Also, the other pincer is entering the fight about now. The enemy will still have to divide his attention, and the losses for the US troops are mounting. The first CV is down, and the second CV is a bit unfortunately placed practically where I'm going to hit it right away. My opponent's only hope is that I won't find it in time that he can drive away. Unfortunately, my ZSUs get lucky and find the enemy CV. I take it out and the game ends in my total victory. This has been a demonstration of the multiplayer game of Wargame European Escalation. I'll try to do a couple more of these, and if you have your own games you'd like commented, please send me a message in the forums and we'll see what we can do. This is Hobgadling signing out. Peace.